Welcome to Climbing Together, the small business experience. I'm Beth Houtrow, founder of Climb the Small Business Book Club, and every episode I talk to a small business owner about a mistake that they've made and what they learned from the experience. Mistakes are inevitable, perfection's impossible, so let's embrace the mistake. And today we're so excited to welcome Rachel Blankenship to the podcast. Rachel, tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Morning, Beth. Thank you for having me. I am a domestic mediator. I am also a mediator for bioethic and special education, and my business is located in Kansas City, Missouri, and I have been in law since 2006.
Nice, very cool. And since you're in Kansas City, that means Missouri and Kansas?
Missouri and Kansas.
Very cool. And if anyone's looking for mediators in that area, we'll have your website and social media in our show notes. But let's jump into our discussion here to talk about mistakes. So tell me about a mistake that you made when you started your business.
I think one of the biggest lessons I learned was to not always say yes. I also have recently learned that you also don't have to give a reason to say no. So those are my two biggies. Saying yes to every single thing that somebody throws at you gets overwhelming. You're not valuing yourself because you're just doing everything anybody asks you to do. And it was incredibly empowering to learn that I could just say no and not offer a 2-paragraph explanation as to why I'm saying no.
And are you in reference to like clients or family, or is that everybody in your whole life, the willingness to say no sometimes, or what specifically?
I think it's a willingness with everybody in your life, but not necessarily with clients, with organizations that want you to do things. You're out there trying to market yourself. You're out there networking. You're trying to build that client base. And so everybody's like, oh, I have this opportunity. Oh, I have that opportunity. And you're yes, thinking that you're going to build. And what you're doing is exhausting yourself and not giving yourself the ability to book clients because you've booked yourself in so many other places. And so you're not getting the full value of what you offer out there.
Nice. Yeah. There's a real balance between like that networking and building community and making space and for your actual work and making sure that it's a productive relationship. Right. I've recently spent quite a bit of time on Alignable trying to build my network. I don't know if you know Alignable.
I do. That's a new one for me. I don't have a lot of experience there, but I keep on getting the messages coming in and I'm like, okay, what am I doing here?
Well, and my problem is I keep getting introduced. I go to these networking things and it's financial planners, insurance agents, and the multi-level marketing people. And then afterwards, they're like, let's meet and connect and network. And I was like, no, I don't need your insurance. I don't need your financial planner. And so I said yes for a long time to all of these requests. And I've finally been like, no, right. I'm sorry, but I'm not available. I don't need your sales pitch on, I don't know, additional car insurance or whatever it is that you're trying to get me to buy.
Exactly. So. Finding that networking group that actually works for you is huge as well. And I think that was part of my learning to say no, was I would just go to everything I was invited to in hopes that it would benefit my business in some way, shape, or form. And finding that niche, finding that network of people that actually have benefit to you is also very important.
Yep. And not feeling bad about walking away from things that aren't working for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love it. Awesome. Okay. Well, and so I know you also have just like a different piece of advice for entrepreneurs, especially younger ones as they're entering the entrepreneur game.
Right. I work with a local junior college here. And one of the things that we find with our students coming in is that they are lacking in soft skills. So for the younger entrepreneurs out there, an email is not a text. There are phones that do not go in your purse with you, and you have to answer them professionally. You need to know how to write a letter, a real letter, and address it. We're seeing a lot of loss of soft skills, and I think it's a twofold. It was technology is making everything. They don't even teach cursive in school anymore, so nobody has a signature. Mm-hmm. You need a signature. If you're going to be a professional, you need to be able to sign your name. Yep. Most of the time, you need it signed so that nobody can read it. But those soft skills are extremely important, especially when you're interviewing and learning how to interview. If you don't know how to represent yourself professionally, it's not going to do you any good, no matter how many interviews you go on. So
Absolutely. Well, and for entrepreneurs who might not be interviewing, you still want to like build partnerships with other businesses that have been in business
I
or
was just going to
yeah,
say, even though you're an entrepreneur and you think you're not interviewing, every day you're interviewing. Every time is a first introduction. Every time is a meet. Every time is an inspection and a review and somebody making a quick 30-second judgment about you and how you represent yourself, which is how they then assume you represent your business.
yep,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, it's an interesting thing now, the kind of overt casualness of everything. And
yes,
perhaps in 20 years, when those of us who learned cursive or all of those kind of things are retired or out of the market, then that overt casualness will work with everybody. But at
right.
this point, there's still a huge part of the population that is expecting correct spelling and
Yes,
some punctuation. And yeah.
not
Yeah.
LOL.
Right. Yes,
So,
exactly. In their messaging and yeah, some level of professionalism. So love that
mhm,
advice.
yes.
All right. So this podcast is brought to us by Climb the Small Business Book Club, and our two tenants are continual learning and community. So I know you have lots of ways that you have engaged in learning. So what do you do for your business to make sure that you're always improving?
When I have figured out that I've made a mistake, or when something is not working for me, or when I can't figure out how to find the clients that I'm looking for, because I'm not selling a product, I'm selling myself. And what I do is a very specific niche. Not everybody needs a mediator. Not everybody wants a mediator. Not everybody understands what a mediator is. But uh, I have a network of entrepreneurs that I have built through the course of the years that I rely on. I look things up, I YouTube, I Google, I go to the junior college and take a class. I'm currently taking a class on medical terminology because bioethics mediation is based in the medical field. Well, there are terms flying at me every day that I do not have a clue, and I'm constantly Googling and looking up. So by taking a quick non-credit course at a local community college, I'm honing my skills with the medical terminology. And I'm there's just always somebody who's done it longer, that knows it better, that can help you get it figured out. You just have to be able to get yourself into those groups and find the people that can help you and that you in return can help them.
Nice. Yeah, and that leads right into our last discussion about community. So we brought up your network quite a few times here. So what have you done? Where did you find the community that kind of worked for you and what has it meant to your business?
Well, like I mentioned, I said yes to way too many things initially, but that did have a small benefit because it helped me figure out where I needed to be. Kansas City has a lot of professional networking groups. We have a lot of really great professional networking groups. There is one extremely large group here that is based or targeted towards female entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs of color. And so that is one that I have really leaned into. There is another smaller group that is also female based. I guess I kind of tend to lean towards those female based
Mhm.
groups as a female entrepreneur because we have different demands on us than men do. You know, females are typically the caregivers. We're the ones that are still doing laundry. We're the ones that do 23 things before we walk out the door, and our male counterparts just pick up their briefcase and walk out. At least that's how my house works. So to find that group, that tribe that you fit with is really important. And I have found a group of people, a group of women that will speak my name when I'm not in the room. And that is
Mhm.
huge. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's amazing.
mhm.
Well, and I've said this in a lot of podcasts, but everyone who wants to be a small business owner should just move to Kansas City. No, just kidding. But Kansas City, such a great community, and I'm so glad that you've found the right one and or ones and said no to the ones that really weren't working. But yeah, I think I drive it home a little too often. But if you don't have people in your corner as an entrepreneur, it is a lonely, difficult battle. And you said there's always someone who, earlier, you said there's always someone who knows more than you, who's been doing it longer, right? And that's that classic who, not how. Don't spend all your time figuring out how to do it. Figure out who you can ask that can help you figure out that how.
It doesn't do you any good to be the smartest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be in a room full of people who are smarter than you in order to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rachel, that's our podcast today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
This podcast is brought to you by Climb the Small Business Book Club, where entrepreneurs go to learn, discuss, apply, and grow. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe at Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, or follow us on Instagram at Climb Book Club. And always remember, mistakes are inevitable, perfection's impossible. So let's embrace the mistake.